the first session, as we said during the presentation, is the continuation of the session that concluded VICA meeting 3. And so it was the exercises when we ask you to provide some feedback to 4 possible scenarios regarding conflict. And the answers were also connected with the code of conduct, responsibility, role of the volunteers. We are very glad that some participants uploaded their replies on the iLearn section. We just checked it almost 1 hour ago, and we saw that we had 4 replies. So maybe we can start with these replies that they refer actually to 2 scenarios. And we can invite the first to upload it then. And according to what we saw on iLearn, we have Anna Maria with scenario 4. And then we can ask also Simone with scenario 3. So maybe if you want, Anna, you can shortly describe the scenario in a few words, and then you can share your reply, how you envisage the solution of this situation.
Okay, so it was the scenario about working with the LGBT community, with the communication area, and getting a harassment. No, it was like a threatened message saying that they should stop doing the activity, and they know where I live, they know what people I'm going out, people I'm going out with, yes, like everything about me, so to stop this activity. And one possible solution to this problem, I suggest, like, I'm very into dialogue, although I don't know how easy it could be in this situation, but I was thinking about maybe having a mediation, like a mediator, person close to the community that is against LGBTQ ideals, and try to kind of get closer by a mediator to also see both points and arrive to a common ground. That was my solution. I don't know how possible it could be this, but anyways, I'm still pro dialogue. And then with the do's from the list, I found maybe do is inform a staff member of my organization to find guidance and security. I'm just kind of with one putting 3 things, but okay. And then don't send a threatening message back. Then with the right to be provided a safe and supportive environment from my organization, and as a responsibility to accept guidance and decisions of the volunteer coordinator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yasin, do you have comment to these, or maybe first we hear all the scenarios and then
exactly.
Okay.
After we hear all.
Okay, so we can proceed, and also in iLearn, we found the reply from Simone with scenario 3. So Simone, do you feel like presenting shortly the scenario and then also your possible solution?
Sure. So basically the scenario is like mental support and psychological first aid to to a population. I don't remember if of refugees, of internally displaced people. Internally displaced people. And so basically a male adolescent approached me and says that a neighbor sexually harassed him, and also living in an environment that is not really friendly towards this kind of situation, unfortunately. So what I suggested is to try to refer immediately the adolescent to a shelter. Try, of course, first of all, to speak with the project manager, project coordinator, to make him aware of the situation, to also underline the urgency of the situation. Try to find a temporary solution at first, at least, And so take him away from the situation in which he is and bring him in a safe space. Support him not only on a psychological level, but also with financial help, allowing him hopefully to continue also to study, so to have a kind of regular life, doing what he usually does. And then if the situation is really get worse, there is not really appropriate solution within the country in which he is, maybe think together with the project coordinator to consider to refer the case to organization for resettlement, so to bring him away from the country to a safe country.
Okay, thank you very much, Simone, for your contribution. We have also other contribution, but from the same scenario 3 and 4. So before maybe commenting this, we ask also to all the other participants if they prepare a reply, also orally, for the first and for the second scenario, and if they would like to present them now. Is there anybody who would like to discuss scenario 1 or scenario 2?
I can share scenario 2, Mario.
Yes, please.
I had actually saved it, but I think I couldn't submit it for some reason, yeah? But I did work on it and I saved it, but I can just share it. So I'm a volunteer working with an organization supporting Syrian refugees, and they're in a community where in the beginning it was all right with the community, with the Syrians coming, but as time went on, there was a lot of sort of difficulties with the local people. And I'm going to this group of Syrian people, and I'm stopped by a group of middle-aged men who start sort of not shouting at me, but being angry and preventing me from going. And then soon other people are joining. So what do I do in the situation? Well, there's two things I can do. One is try to talk to these men, and maybe even having a conversation away from the group. So suggesting, let's go somewhere else to talk about the situation. Now, if that doesn't work, the other solution is just walk away and go back to the organization. But if the first solution works, like have a conversation with these people and just ask, well, what's the problem, and try to listen to them and to explain what we're trying to do as an organization. And, maybe then they let me go to see the Syrians, or if not, I go back to the organization. And also in the other situation where I go back, I would then sort of report it to the organization, to my line manager, senior, and sort of maybe encourage them that we need to sort of look at this project where we can involve the local people, because in the beginning they were supportive of the local people, but things have started to go wrong. And for the project to continue, it needs to have the support of the local people. So try to get the organization to engage with the local people. So the things I should do are very simple, like in a situation with these older men or these middle-aged men, just stay calm. And what I shouldn't do is try to provoke the people, to just try, and then my rights and responsibilities, so I have the right to stay safe. So that's the sort of priority, to keep myself safe. And I have a responsibility then to report this situation to my organization, that we can do something to try to resolve the situation. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, sorry it didn't work out to submit it. I don't know what was wrong.
Okay, no problem. It was very detailed, the report that you did. Is there anybody who would like to comment scenario number 1, so that we have all 4 scenarios?
I've seen that Zorana raised her hand.
Yes, please.
So Zorana, maybe you wanted to say something?
Yes, actually, I also submitted my scenario, but like 15 minutes ago, so it's probably I submitted it probably later than your last check, but yeah, I chose the second scenario, and it's actually pretty much the same response. I would try to talk, and if not, then I would try to make myself safe. And then again, it's pretty much the same, so I don't think that there is anything else to add. I agree with Vincent completely.
Okay, thank you, Zorana. And now, actually, we can leave the floor to everybody, but for time reason, you know that time is always a very important factor for our webinar. I would like to give the floor to Yazin to comment. First, I would like also to thank those who uploaded successfully. We have also received a scenario 4 from Milena, and then also scenario 3 for Martina. Sorry for time reason, we cannot read them, but actually we read them already, but we cannot just analyze them together here. So I will ask now Yazin, please, to comment or to add or integrate something regarding these scenarios, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mara, and thank you all for reading the scenarios and responding to them. And my suggestion is that, maybe the 2 other participants can share their responses in the chat box so that other participants also can read them. As we started with Anna, I would like to comment on Anna's response first. Yes, definitely dialogue is an option, but under these circumstances, if you are a foreigner, for example, in another country, or if you don't really know the local context, I would say that we should maybe think 2 times about, maintaining a dialogue with the person. But first, getting kind of some feedback, expert ideas about how to manage this. And I agree with your do's and don'ts and rights and responsibilities, perfect. But I would say my priority would be to talk to the manager first, see what kind of, available options there are, because usually this kind of, groups are not open to dialogue. So it could even, escalate the conflict, unintentionally. And for the LGBT case, I really like the approach that you had, Simon, particularly given that, if the person doesn't receive kind of emotional, psychosocial, or material support from the family members, if this act is also considered as a kind of a shameful act against the family, providing a shelter is definitely an option. Yeah, I mean, allowing or supporting the person to seek, asylum in another country could also be an option, but I guess there are so many other steps that one may take before it comes to that point. But definitely this is an option as well, and financial support as well, because it seems that this person is not able to work because of the event, whatever happened to him, or because of other factors that the family doesn't support. So definitely financial help is also going to be an important factor. Avoiding to put the person working as a volunteer and the individual who is receiving the support not under any further risk is also a key point here. Definitely agree. I don't remember if you mentioned, because I'm reading your answer, I don't remember if you mentioned your rights and responsibilities, but I guess your answer also covered that as well. And in terms of Vincent's response, yeah, this happens in so many other contexts as well. Initially the local community support them, but then, things change. And regarding the communication with the local community members, again, the same thing, similar to what Anna said. I would say, just if they want to, get some information from you as a volunteer, you can provide this information, what you do, what your organization is, what kind of services you're providing, whether these services cover the local community or not. But other than this, I would say we should avoid, getting in this kind of conversation, because we don't know what kind of direction this conversation is going to go. So it may create even, further problems for you. I would say, you know, if you think conversation may help, maybe your organization can organize a different, you know, session with the local community, informing them, even inviting some people to come, you know, from the beneficiaries to come and explain themselves and then see what kind of available options there are, etc., etc. But I would definitely avoid, you know, going into much discussion with the local community. In terms of the rights and responsibilities, definitely not, you know, not put yourself or the beneficiaries under any risk, you know, avoid any confrontation, and then let the organization and senior managers maybe deal with this problem rather than you directly going into the conflict. Again, you know, also Zorana, as you agree with Vincent on the same answer, so the same comments for you. I don't know, Mauro, Zainab, Elisabetta, if you have any comments, any additional points, please feel free to add them.
Thank you, Yazin. This was very interesting. I would rather use the time also to ask participants if they have some questions to you regarding what you said.
Sure.
So feel free to ask and comment again on Yazin's comments, on your comment. Because maybe I had the impression that maybe, Simona, you wanted to say something because you opened your microphone.
Yeah, but something very quickly. I think overall it's good, if it's possible, of course, to try to offer services not only to IDPs or refugees, but also to try to offer the same service to both communities, to local and also to indeed IDPs or refugees, people uprooted. I think in order to ease tensions, I think that's a good idea, and an example could be, for instance, if there is the possibility to do after school homework, this kind of activity, to offer it to both communities, because that's a common need. So, and at least you show the fact that as an organization, I believe you are willing to help anyone in need. Just that.
Yeah, definitely. This was my own experience, by the way, back in Turkey. So after a while, all the NGOs in Turkey started conducting joint projects for both local community and Syrian refugees. You know, there was no other option because there was a kind of increasing tension and aggressiveness, you know, by the local community. So the solution was to include both sides with certain quotas, like 50% Syrian refugees, 50% citizens of Turkey, or, you know, 80% Syrian, etc., depending on the needs and circumstances.
Okay, we have questions. I saw Anna and Paul.
I don't know if Paul raised first.
Okay, Paul.
Okay, I agree completely that we should offer our services to all the communities involved. But we had a different experience on the southeast coast of India, where after the tsunami, and our organization was helping in one particular village where the fishermen who had the biggest and best houses were closest to the sea, and in a way they were worst affected. Okay, but we went in with food and with services for children for the whole village. And we didn't say it should be for one part of the community or another. And of course, that meant that we were giving food and children's activities also for the Adivasi children. Now, the Adivasis are the untouchables. And of course, there were already underlying tensions and animosities in that village between the different groups. And the fact that we were helping everyone displeased the higher caste, who were the fishermen who'd had their nice houses destroyed. And one night they went and set fire to the very mean huts where the Adivasi, the untouchables, lived by the waste dump at the back of the village because they felt against them. So we can be put in some very, very difficult situations, but it was still right to provide relief and help for all the community.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for this. Maybe we can listen also to Anna's feedback, and then we can comment this.
Yes, my kind of feedback was that I didn't see if you could kind of share, Yasin again. I didn't see clear the solution of my problem in the scenario I had, yeah, because I also had, it was a kind of online, the scenario is happening also in an online version, let's say. Yeah, it's also this barrier. So which one could be the solution for the problem I had? Possible.
Yeah, and this happened to a friend of mine, and the person decided to leave the country. Of course, this is not the one solution. You may think about alternative solutions, but this was one of the solutions. The second one, if I were in that case, I would definitely talk to the managers and see if there were any kind of security measurements they could provide. Maybe change your location from that place to another place. Maybe change your position. Other things as well. If you want to keep, of course, working with this organization, but if you feel under threat and you want to leave the position or the job, or the country, I guess this would be the safest option, given that you are not very much familiar with the context, because unexpected things may happen. So your priority is your safety, and then keeping a close kind of coordination with the management supervisor, and then see what options are available there and which one would be suitable for you to keep going, to keep working.
Okay, thank you everybody for being actively participating to this session. So it was really worthwhile to propose it today and not to skip it. It was a good idea because it seems that it was very interesting for everybody. But now it's time to go to the next session. So thank you, Yasin, for your comment.